Donald Trump announced a mostly meaningless trade deal with the United Kingdom today, which is only the first deal he's reached after claiming he already had 200 deals. And it's also not even really a deal. And he got upstaged by the new Pope. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Trump announced the framework of a trade agreement with the UK today. And you guys, it was a huge deal. As soon as the announcement was made, white smoke came from the Oval Office chimney. And people in the plaza outside started cheering and jumping and chanting, "Tariffs, tariffs, tariffs!" Oh, wait, sorry. I'm hearing that was the Vatican announcing a new pope. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying the fact that Trump's dumb trade announcement got upstaged by the Pope and a fellow American, no less.
The announcement has been made, and it is an astonishing selection. An American, the first American, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost.
Cardinal Robert Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, is an American, currently Cardinal from Chicago, and is now the first American Pope in history.
You know Trump's going to try to claim credit for this. The tariffs are working. We're making our own popes now right here in America. We're going to reopen the Pope factories. And not only was Trump upstaged by a new pope, he was upstaged by a new pope who has amplified criticism of Trump's immigration policies on Twitter. In February, the new pope even responded to J.D. Vance using Catholicism to justify deportations by posting an article titled, "J.D. Vance is Wrong." Man, J.D. Vance, you guys, J.D. Vance is 0 for 2 on popes. He Grim Reapered the last one. He got dunked on by this one. That's how you know the new pope's from Chicago. You know, the pope's supposed to love everyone, but even this guy's like, "Hey, JD can kiss my ass." Want to get that impression out before we definitely find out he doesn't sound like that. Pope. The point is, before the Pope news, today was supposed to be about Trump's trade deal with the UK, which he announced in the Oval Office. But during the press conference, Trump made the bizarre decision to put the UK's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on speakerphone while Trump just sat there nodding along.
Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries. This is going to boost trade between and across our country. Victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, exactly 80 years ago, that Winston Churchill announced victory in Europe. And as we were 80 years ago, with the UK and the US standing side by side, there are no two countries that are closer than our two countries for sectors like car manufacturing and for steel and aluminium and so many others. Keeping the peace through that close alliance, that friendship. And I'm so pleased that we've got this deal, we've finalised it, and we've built an incredible platform for the future.
This is the most boring television I've ever seen in my life. Someone take a close-up of the phone at least. We're watching a 78-year-old man listen to a 62-year-old British man talk about World War II on speakerphone. Remember when you were a kid and you didn't have any quarters, so you go to the arcade and watch somebody else play Donkey Kong? This is like watching that kid. By the way, this is also what PBS is going to be after Trump makes all his budget cuts. Welcome to the amazing birds of the world. I got David Attenborough on the line. He's going to describe what they look like. And then I'm just going to sort of flap my arms around. Take it away, David. I'm flapping. What's next? Is the press going to get rushed into the Oval Office to watch Donald Trump sit on hold with Verizon tech support? Honestly, I mean, that would have been more entertaining.
You are 48th in line. A representative will be with you shortly.
Verizon, they treat me very unfairly. But it got even worse when they tried to end the call, which for some reason also took forever.
Donald, I'm now going to go and do a press conference. I think you have your press in with you.
That's great. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much. It's an honor. We're going to have a continued, maybe a better relationship than ever before. You know, I don't know if the media knows, but the U.S. and U.K. have been working for years to try and make a deal. So I want to just congratulate you.
Well, with this president, this prime minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years.
That's right.
And I'm really pleased. So, Donald, thank you so much. It's really good to have got this deal over the line.
Thank you. Well, it really is a great thing. And you go do your press conference, and I'll see you soon. Maybe speak to you later. But thank you very much. An incredible thing. I can't tell you that for so many years, even as I sat, everybody talked and talked and talked about a deal with, it just seemed like a natural deal. Keir, thank you very much.
Thanks, Donald, and we'll speak again soon.
Very good. So long. Bye.
Just hang up the phone. Jesus. Did you two? What's going on? Did you two date last summer at sleepaway camp? You hang up first. No, you hang up first. Let's hang up at the same time. Okay, so. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You were supposed to hang up. No, sir, you were supposed to hang up. Now, Trump and Starmer made this sound like a momentous occasion, but it turns out the deal is much more limited than Trump or the headlines would have you believe.
We're following breaking news. We're keeping a very close eye on the White House right now after President Trump says he has a trade deal with the United Kingdom. It's set to be announced any moment. This agreement would be the first of its kind since the White House imposed widespread tariffs on countries all around the world. Let's go live right now to CNN's senior White House correspondent, Kristen Holmes. Kristen, just how significant is today's announcement?
Well, Wolf, it depends on what you mean by the word significant.
So no. That's a hard no, it's not significant. The answer after someone says depends what you mean is never yes. It's like if someone texted you and said, how big is your penis? And you wrote back, depends what you mean by big. I mean, it would look huge to an ant. So in reality, it turns out there's not much substance to this deal at all.
What we are hearing right now is that this deal between the two countries is not actually going to be what majorly significant. For example, we've heard it's limited in scope, that it is heavy on future commitments. In fact, when I talk to administration officials and allies of the president, they seem somewhat desperate to get a trade deal on the table.
So that's what's really going on here. Trump was just desperate to announce a deal, even a meaningless one. That's why he made us all watch 10 minutes of speakerphone theater. In fact, when it came time to discuss specifics, Trump obsessed mostly over stuff that doesn't really affect the daily lives of most Americans, like expensive cars. He said he changed the tariff, for example, on Rolls-Royces.
We took it from 25 to 10 on Rolls-Royce because Rolls-Royce is not going to be built here. I won't do that deal with cars. I mean, unless somebody shows me that there's another kind of a car that's comparable to a Rolls-Royce. And there aren't too many. This is a good commercial for Rolls-Royce. They're going to order a lot of cars.
Mr. President, I wonder whether you'd like to buy.
Well, the last time this happened, I ended up...
I would be happy to suggest a discount, obviously a very modest discount. We have to protect our profit margins.
I've had many of them, actually. You know, the last time that happened, I ended up buying a Tesla.
Trump's right. That was a good commercial for Rolls-Royce. It's certainly better than the commercial Trump did for Tesla, where his big selling point was this.
Everything's computer.
A ringing endorsement from a man who can't even hang up a landline phone. Now, I know you're thinking, okay, so now there's no tariffs on Rolls-Royces. How does that affect me? Well, you're not thinking about the other major export from Britain to the U.S., James Bond movies.
You've talked about a big tariff on films, and we'd like to know if there'd be relief on British...
Well, we're going to have a discussion on that separately. And as you know, we're putting tariffs on that particular film. But James Bond has nothing to worry about that, I can tell you. James Bond. And you know, Sean Connery was a friend of mine. Sean Connery was responsible for my getting zoning in Aberdeen. He said, let the bloody bloke build his golf courses.
Sean Connery stood up to all the great villains, Dr. No, Goldfinger, Blofeld, but his greatest victory was against the zoning board in Aberdeen, Scotland, who was fighting against one of my tacky golf courses. So Trump talked mostly about importing luxury cars in James Bond movies, which you might think correctly is pointless. What was even the point of this supposed trade deal? What are we even trying to accomplish? Let's go back to how this all started. Remember when Donald Trump first announced tariffs on almost every country on earth back in April? You know, during that Rose Garden press conference where it looked like he stole the menu from a fast food restaurant? This is a fun fact for tourists. You can still see him wearing that sign as a sandwich board in Times Square. Tariff, who wants That's a tariff. How about you, Buzz Lightyear? We're putting tariffs on infinity and beyond. Biden only went to infinity. We're going and beyond. The goal was always murky. Trump's team couldn't decide whether the tariff announcement that angered allies and sent markets plummeting was a permanent policy change in order to revitalize domestic manufacturing or just a negotiating tactic to get more favorable terms, or both.
Let me make this very clear. This is not a negotiation. This is not that. This is a national emergency.
Every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you.
You're talking about negotiations, and yet others in your administration are saying that these tariffs are actually permanent. What is the action?
Well, it could be. They can both be true.
No, it can't. There has to be one answer. We're talking about global trade policy, not the Mona Lisa. Is she smiling or is she sad? It can be both. Also, I love the look in his eyes when he answers that question. He clearly has no idea. He looks like a teenager who's worried the person selling him alcohol might be an undercover cop. Are you buying this beer? I mean, I could be, if you think I am. Or maybe I'm just holding it for someone else who's 21, unless you think I'm 21, which I could be. Are you over or under 21? My ID says could be both. Trump then started claiming that he was negotiating with other countries, mainly because they were calling him up and begging him to make a deal.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir.
Are you sure they weren't offering to do anything if you just agreed to hang up the phone? At the time, Trump's team promised that we could see a new trade deal possibly every single day for 3 months straight.
We've got 90 deals in 90 days, possibly pending.
Why does everything with these guys sound like a local car commercial? Come on down to Honda's 90 deals and 90 days sale. You won't believe how low these prices are on a new Honda Civic. And just remember, everything's computer. Then Trump decided to wildly inflate the number of deals without disclosing which countries were making those deals.
The president says, I've made 200 deals. Then you ask, you've made 200 deals? And then the president says, 100%. And then you ask, I think shrewdly, can you share with whom? And then the president says, because the deal is a deal that I choose. Do you know what's going on here with his 200 deals that have been made?
I can't say that I do.
Of course you can't. For one thing, there aren't even 200 countries on Earth. Is he making deals with other planets? Yeah, we had a trade deal with Jupiter. They're going to give us one of them. We have 2 moons now. That number kept changing, and so did the terminology. Suddenly, they weren't really deals anymore.
We have 100 countries that are knocking on the door.
I believe that he is referring to sub-deals within the negotiations we're doing.
It is an agreement in concept. There's a lot of details to be worked out.
India, South Korea, Japan, I think are on the cusp of being blueprints that they lay out pretty soon.
We've seen sketches of deals.
This source told me that the deals would be in the form of LOIs, or letters of intent.
According to Politico, the agreements are likely closer to memorandums of understanding.
It's all in Trump's book, The Art of the Memorandum of Understanding. For real, what's going on here? Is it letters of intent, memorandums of understanding, deals, sketches of deals, blueprints of deals, concepts of deals, or sub-deals? There are more euphemisms in this administration than a religious household talking about where babies come from. The point is there's no coherent trade policy. Trump plunged global markets into turmoil and punished American consumers for no reason. And now he's desperately trying to save face with a mostly meaningless agreement with the UK that will help you only if you're super into luxury cars. If you're asking yourself, is Trump just dumb? Is he actively malignant? Just remember,
They can both be true.
this has been a Closer Look.